Welcome back to the Broker Power Up podcast, the AIME podcast for strategy, stories, and insights to help you close more loans. I'm Tommy Golightly, joined by Jonathon Haddad. How's it going?
Yes, sir. We're in the grind, my friend. Just selling in the trenches.
Absolutely. We have a lot going on today. We have the Broker Buzz, where we dive into the top posts of the week from the Brokers Are Best Facebook group and discuss what's trending, what's working, and what you need to know. The Sales Pitch, where John helps us become better salespeople, where we're going to learn why clients trust you when you admit weakness. And then we're going to go into story time with John. But first, a fortune cookie, which is behind me. All right, we got
Today's fortune.
today's fortune. I have a pile of these piling up on my desk. I'm going to do something with them.
You ever watch a series of unfortunate events?
Oh, yeah.
The most recent film. I'm sorry, the most recent series they did.
No, I
With
just read
Neil
the books
Patrick
as a kid.
Harris. Okay.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes.
So the way he says fortune, your
Fortune.
fortune.
Your fortune for
Cookie.
today is true happiness comes from within.
All day.
Absolutely, all day.
And do you feel like the more you go through life, the older you get, that becomes more and more relevant?
Oh, yeah. The older I get, the less I care about what others think of me, unless they're relevant to one, my career growth, or two, close friends. Anyone else, it's just like, okay, that's your opinion. It's me. I'm happy.
It's funny. Like I can only speak from my perspective, just like you from yours. But as just like a little boy, it's like I remember seeing certain things that I wanted, and
Yeah.
you see somebody have a nice car, you see somebody nice house. I go to a friend's house, I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And then you're just like, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. And then as I get older and you get access to certain things and you learn certain stuff, you really do realize that none of that stuff, it's all a Band-Aid.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
healing starts so internally. And
Yeah.
when I say healing, it's not like I've learned to remove this connotation that when someone says healing, it has to be a negative thought. Healing to me is just like being able to understand who you are as a human being and why certain things impacted you the way that they did, and then learning that that's just part of who you are as a person and how to make sure you leverage that for your strengths and not your weaknesses. Like that's what healing is to me. So that's where I'm at with it. And I know it's a cliche, but you really don't understand it until you get older and older and keep going through life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's dive into the broker buzz with our first question. Personal bank statement loan. Are all deposits counted as long as they're not transfers from another account, or are there restrictions?
So this is non-QM, non-qualified mortgage product. So here's what that means for a non-qualified mortgage product specifically. There are basically only a pretty set list of these investors across the country. So generally speaking, non-QM loans are coming from the same people. So every lender has slightly different things that they negotiate with these investors. Bank statement loans are no different. So first and foremost, the question is a little tough to answer because every lender is going to have pretty close to similar guidelines, but there will be some nuances. You see this a lot with UWM, for example, that has different color schemes. You see this with our other lenders that have different products, but under the same umbrella when it comes to bank statement loans. Some bank statement loans, yes, they'll allow you to use 100% of the deposits with a letter from the CPA. And basically what they're looking for is what is the expense ratio for this consumer? Like, are they spending 10% of their money? Are they maintaining 90%, which is not likely? But there are caveats, so it's really important you read the guidelines. You read the matrices, because here's what's annoying for me. I'm at that point, Tommy. I think we're growing enough to where I can say things like this. What bothers me is when somebody posts, like conventional I get, FHA I get, VA I get, the guidelines are the guidelines. But on these loans right here, when somebody gets pissed at the lender, but then they don't read the actual guidelines as a loan officer, that drives me up the wall. So your lack of preparation is what caused an issue for this client, but you blame the lender because you didn't read the guidelines. So I'm not saying that's this situation, but please, whenever you're doing a personal bank statement loan, you have to read that lender's guidelines, get on the phone with the AE, and just ask them this question. How will this loan die in process? Like, who cares about how it'll close? You already know that. I need to know what pops up, what nuances am I going to run into with you as a lender when it comes to bank statement that I might not know about. So you want to ask that question first. And when it comes to 100%, just look at their guidelines. Are there some out there that do it? Yes, but you need a very specific letter from the CPA. And just be very cautious. Sometimes they're looking for only a 10% expenses. 10% expenses, I run a business. That's a pretty absurd to have only 10% expenses. So just be careful how you're guiding the client. Be careful how you're advising. Be careful about the conversations. The answer is there are some that'll do it, but you got to read those guidelines.
Absolutely. Number 2, how do you help clients estimate monthly payment slash closing cost? Do you do it manually on every home they see, or give them something that will allow them to themselves?
So I might be different here. This is just something I've learned how to do just because I made a mistake early on. So Michigan is where I do a majority of my business. I am in many states and have agents in so many states. But in Michigan, our property taxes, whenever you're buying a new home, they get reassessed and you're paying for a year in advance. So what happens for a lot of new buyers buying homes in Michigan, you actually are needing to pay back the current owner of the home part of their property taxes because they paid for a year in advance on property taxes. And so what that means is if they've only lived in the house for 1 month but paid for 12 months of taxes, you owe the seller 11 months worth of taxes when you buy the house. I made that mistake on one of my first ever purchase transactions, and it was an $8,000 difference in their cash to close. Yes, Tommy, I made that mistake. It was about 10 years ago now. But so I'm a little better to talk about it. It doesn't hurt as much, but a huge mistake I'll never make. So for that question, I do it manually, but I also can do it in probably under 3 minutes at this point. And for me, it's important for 2 things. Number 1, the accuracy, but number 2, I use it as a selling point to make sure the client calls me back. So what I say is this, Tommy, you're going to start going out now with this pre-approval and shopping with your real estate agent. I know right now we priced this out for the house on 123 Main Street. But you and I both know the way that this works is that might not just be the house you're ready to put an offer on. Is that a fair statement for me to make?
Yeah, I'm still looking.
So that's perfect. Now, because of Philadelphia and the way that property taxes are paid, it is really important that every time you look at a new home, you send it to me so I can get within 5% of the actual payment and closing costs that you're going to have to pay and bring to the closing table. Does that make sense?
So what's the 5%?
5% variance in terms of just really small, not that big of a variance. Call it a couple $100. I love to be within that kind of striking distance for my clients simply because I understand how nerve-wracking it can be. So my numbers are always going to be incredibly conservative because it's a lot easier for me to tell you the numbers are going down than they are going up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You kind of see. So I also use it as a selling point, and I do it manually just because Michigan's pretty weird with taxes, and I don't want to get it wrong. So I recommend it, whether we leverage Arrive on our side of things. So Arrive makes it really easy to update that. And then from there, I'm just doing that every time as also a sales tactic to make sure the consumer is sending me these homes constantly. That keeps me front of mind.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, number 3, our final question for the week. Seller concessions question. Buyer has 5,800 left in concessions. We are wanting to add a couple maintenance items and a garage door replacement to the CD to be paid at closing. I have had this done several times before. Closing underwriter is saying these cannot be paid and have to be paid outside of closing. Is the CW right, or did something change?
So what I believe you're referencing is an escrow holdback. So an escrow holdback is plausible. And what that is basically if something needs to be done with the house, but it can't be done before closing. What they do is they'll allow that money to be held with the title company. And then once the time, so perfect example, Tommy, in Michigan, the winters can get incredibly cold.
Yeah.
So if I have to paint my garage as part of this transaction, but I can't paint it because it's been just ungodly cold and we're trying to close in December in Michigan, can't paint. There's nothing I could do. All the painters say no. Contractors say we can't do it. We have to wait till it gets a little bit warmer outside. There are certain instances where you can close that loan. Whatever that cost was, you get the quote. The seller then, that money would be held by the title company. And when the time is right, the title company releases that money directly to the contractor, the painter. Then after the loan closes, they come out and paint the garage with the money that was left over. I believe that is what you're referencing in this instance. you're unable to pay for things as part of the closing disclosure, like maintenance, if it's not required as part of the loan. So if the report came back, the appraisal report came back as is, saying this house is fine, there's no security issues, there's no damages, there's no reason why this can't close, you're going to have a tremendous amount of trouble trying to get that done because it's not needed. You're not paying it as part of the financing. So think about it like this. You're basically saying that you want to include these repairs as part of the financing for a loan. Investors, why would they want that? Unless it's some type of renovation loan. Investors don't want that added in. They want to know what the house is worth. That's what they're giving you the money for.
Right. That makes sense. Cool. Well, if you want your question answered on the podcast, be sure to be an AIME member, join the Brokers Are Best Facebook group, and use the hashtag Broker Power Up question. And we will get it answered here on the podcast. If you are not a member, you can scan the QR code, check out our new website, learn all about our new membership stuff that's going on, and become a member so you can get your question answered. And on the other side, we'll be back with some sales pitch training.
Are you a wholesale mortgage professional? Well, then the very first thing you need is a community to help you and your business grow. With AIME membership, your community is right here. Joining our community means never navigating the market alone or operating without a safety net ever again. We are 16,000 members strong of united wholesale professionals. From rookies to top-ranking originators, all dedicated to supporting each other's success so we can grow together. Beyond entry to the best community in the mortgage industry, AIME membership gives you the resources, tools, guidance, discounts, services, and support that help you and your wholesale business grow, thrive, and most importantly, close more loans. AIME membership connects you with leading wholesale lenders and vendors, offering you exclusive access, services, and discounts that save you more money while helping you make more money. Never get stuck on a loan again with our lender escalation program. Grow your network and skills with the wholesale industry's best conferences and networking events. Get the strategies and skills of top originators and industry innovators with AIME's cutting-edge wholesale mortgage education, resources, and content. AIME offers all of this and more, starting at a low price of $19.99 a month. You heard it here first, couple cups of Starbucks coffee. For you to learn more and get started, all you have to do is visit aimegroup.com, AIME group.com /membership. Your community is waiting.
All right, and we're back to become better salespeople and learn why clients trust you more when you can admit weakness. John, what do we got?
So this one, Tommy, is I took over all sales for my company, and we have a direct-to-consumer model that's just based here in Michigan. And so part of it is we got acquired by NerdWallet, and there's opportunities for us from a share, marketplace perspective where we can basically buy leads. And part of this process is I get to see a lot of the future consumer. These are pretty sophisticated clients with a really high average credit score. And here's what we're seeing, and this is why this is so important about understanding weaknesses and just being very, vulnerable at times and being very direct. Tommy, November of 2024, last year, how many users per week do you think were using ChatGPT?
20,000?
250 million.
200.
Okay, per week. Ready? No,
Okay.
you're good. Everybody's all, I swear.
I forgot when exactly it came out. I thought that was earlier.
Same answers. Everyone says the same thing, like 100,000, because it didn't come out that long ago, right?
Yeah.
It really didn't, realistically, and it's only gotten better over the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Now, last month, how many users a week do you think use ChatGPT? So this is only about an 8-month difference in users on a weekly basis. So 250 million in November. Last month, how many do you think used on a weekly basis?
150 million.
800 million people. So in 8 months, they have basically quadrupled the amount of users that are leveraging it on a weekly basis. These are unique users, Tommy. These are 800 million different human beings.
That's a lot of human
Okay.
beings.
Now, the way it works is the more people that use the system, it goes into their servers, and the system just gets better. It learns based on what all the questions people are asking. So why is this dangerous? This is dangerous. It's a good thing because this is the future. This is the wave. We're not stopping it, but it's dangerous because now you can now predict if a cluster of people are talking or asking about the same thing, they now know that's a main focus for the world, for the country. Make sense so far?
Yeah.
So if someone's asking about current political climate and this section,
It's like checking. It's like how you used to check Google Trends. Right.
They nailed it. So this is now, but they have it more extensive, and the thing keeps learning and it keeps growing. So with the clients that we're dealing with, here's what's insane, and this is why it's so important to showcase your weaknesses and be vulnerable and be precise with your words. If you tell clients, hey, retail, I don't believe they can do a bank statement loan, okay? They're taking that, pasting it into ChatGPT, and saying, can retail do a loan like this? Can you find me a retail company that can? Even if they find one retail company, what does that do to your credibility as a loan officer?
Down, because you didn't tell the truth.
And now on Google was all paid. So when they type in, they wouldn't find that answer. And most clients didn't know that you had to go to the 5th, 6th, or 7th page, right? And most clients don't have the ad turned off. That's not the standard consumer. So on Google, they're seeing the first page of all these ads on DSCR loan, bank statement loan. Nothing's tied to a retail lender. They're like, oh, all right, I guess they're probably right. Probably can't do that. Now they go to GPT and ask the same question. So the weakness now is precision with your words. How precise are you? How detailed are you? How much do you actually know? Because you will be challenged. We're getting questions, Tommy, that I've never seen, and I've been doing this for 13 years, and I started at Quicken. We were getting thousands upon thousands of leads. My team was closing 400 loans a month. I've never seen this before. How much interest am I going to pay in 5 years? What's my break even? When does it make sense? What's my APR? Walk me through why I should pay extra versus why I shouldn't pay extra. ChatGPT said this loan doesn't make sense if I'm in the loan longer than 32 months or less than 32 months. So now you have to combat that as a loan officer. This is the future client. So your vulnerabilities, your weaknesses, it's the same thing all salespeople have. Your precision with your words needs to be at an all-time high. So from a sales tip standpoint, take your time, slow down. If you don't know an answer, take a step back. Hey, you know what? That's a great question about retail. I actually can't speak on that because I'm not sure. There's so many different products and there's 5,000 lenders out there. Could somebody also have this kind of product in retail? Maybe. What I can tell you is what I can do for you is, and I do know that I'm really good at this because you see the difference?
Yep.
Tommy, no, that retail doesn't have that. That's silly. No, they don't. Tommy looks it up. Retail pops up. Credibility gone. I reply this way instead. Tommy says, oh, okay, that's all right. That's 5,000 lenders. How does John think he knows all 5,000 lenders' guidelines? So this is real, y'all. This is a majority of the clients that we're seeing on our end are becoming this sophisticated. This is the future of the client. Adapt to this, understand it, and learn how to leverage it. And make sure you don't get caught in the middle of it because you will lose business and then you're going to try and figure out a way to get yourself out of it. That's not what I meant. That's not, and the game's over at that point. You've lost. Now your confidence is down and it's a whole problem across the board. So stay dialed into that.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's ChatGPT is going to make people, the average person, a lot smarter. They're going to be more educated very quickly. They're able to educate themselves very quickly on things that are new to them, which for most people is when they buy a house, that's new to them. Most people only buy, do you know the average amount of houses that a person buys in their life? Is it 1, 2?
So they do a total, the average person in their lifetime does 11 total transactions, but that includes refinances. Okay. So it's roughly like 3 to 4 purchases. But all in, it's 11 total transactions between purchase and refinances. That's the average over the lifetime of that client.
Yeah. So I mean, then
so you could miss out on 11 opportunities. Think about this though. You can miss out on 11 opportunities by screwing up the first one. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy to think about.
But now you have the power at your fingertips to make the most educated decision on that first one.
Yes, sir.
But cool. All right. Well, let's take a look and see if we want to become better salespeople in person. Where would we go, John?
We would go directly to, well, I'm not sure now. Before I ad break to Fuse.
We're going to
To
Fuse.
be. Did I
We're
get
going
it?
to Fuse. We're going to become better salespeople. And if you haven't claimed your ticket yet, if you haven't gotten your hotel room yet, you really should, because the hotel block is over 50% full. It has never been this full this quickly. So make sure to scan the QR code, uh, claim your ticket if you're a name member, purchase one, or become a name member and save money on your Fuse ticket. And we'll see you on the other side for story time.
I almost said
Fuse is just around the corner, believe it or not, another year down. And we are excited for the largest event of the entire wholesale mortgage industry. Fuse National Conference 2025 is taking its show on the road. Now emanating from Nashville, Tennessee, from October 23rd through the 25th. This event is all about sales, sales, sales. Don't miss the chance to join us in Music City for 3 days full of the most cutting-edge content we've ever produced, featuring the industry's top minds, leaders, and innovators. Access the newest tools and resources from wholesale leading lenders and vendors. Take part in our acclaimed workshop summits for free. Catch wholesale's rising stars in their very own breakout sessions. And of course, take part in the best and, quite frankly, the most fun networking opportunities you'll find in the wholesale channel. Join us to grow your network, your skill set, and your business at what will no doubt be the greatest Fuse conference yet. Go to fuse.aimgroup.com to sign up and receive updates when tickets go on sale. Secure your hotel room and get your Fuse tickets for free. That's a $600 value for the prices as low as $199 when you sign up for an AIME annual membership. Don't miss your chance to be there when wholesale history is made at Fuse 2025. I can't wait to see you there.
All right, and we're back for story time with John. John, the floor is yours.
All right. So this story is this is more so around the times when you're in a situation and you're in a meeting, and you might be at an agent's office, and you might be in a meeting with your maybe it's your manager, maybe it's the owner of your company, and you're sitting in the meeting and you're looking around and you're like, God, this is a waste of my time. And that's what you tell yourself internally. And then the rest of the meeting, you just sit there kind of with your arms crossed. So many years ago, as I was growing through my mortgage journey, part of this process was elevating yourself into this club called the Inner Circle. And everybody wanted to work to be in the Inner Circle. There was only roughly 8 to 10 leaders that were allowed inside of this circle. And you had to build your way up. Production, you had to get voted in, you had to do a presentation. I mean, it's something every leader wanted to get into. And there was a guy in this meeting that he led the entire sales organization. He was the chief revenue officer for the entire company. So everybody wanted to be part of it. You're trying to get in, you want to get closer to the top, you want to get closer to the sun, is what people say. And I think it's everybody's constant battle for power, quote unquote. And after many, many years, I finally got my chance. I did my presentation and I got it, and I was so excited. And I told my leader that I made it. I said, I got in. He said, wow, congratulations. This is going to be such a big win for you. And my leader at the time guided me, was my mentor, and would always make sure that I was focusing on the right things and would just help me with little tidbits here and there. He was really accustomed to the culture and had been there for 25 plus years. So I started going to the meetings. I go to my meeting. It was every single Tuesday, like clockwork. I get up, I leave my desk. I always wanted to arrive early. I wanted the first seat because I wanted to sit right next to this guy as much as I could. Just wanted to learn. I was 25, 26 years old when this is happening. So I go into the meeting. I learn something. I'm excited. We're high-fiving. I leave. I go back to my other desk on the banking floor, and my leader, my mentor, comes up, and he would always ask me, how'd it go? It went unbelievable. I learned so much. I can't believe how much I'm getting. I can't believe how much is being poured into me. This college dropout is learning so much. And then what happened, this person that was leading the inner circle and had been for many years, well, he shifted and the company needed him to do something else because he was that strong of a leader. And when he shifted, they put somebody else in his place. And when they put somebody else in his place, I started going to the meeting still. And I went in with the same excitement. But the first time I went into that meeting with the person they replaced him with, I was just like, what is this? And I sat there, and for that entire hour, as opposed to being excited like I've been every other time, I sat there and it started and I said, oh my gosh. I said, here we go. I said, here we go. And I crossed my hands. And I sat there with this look on my face like, what you're going to say doesn't matter. You can't teach me anything. I'm 26 years old and I know everything. And then I go back to my desk and like clockwork, my mentor would say, how'd it go? And this time around, I'd say, it was okay. And he noticed right away. He said, you don't seem as excited. I told him why. He said, oh, okay. I go again the next week. I come back like clockwork. How was it? It was okay. The third week comes up. I go through the same process. I come back. He says, how was it? I say it was okay. And he looks me dead in my eye and he says, he looks down and I knew something was coming. I screwed up. That look's not a good look. I already know. He's thinking, he's really going through. And he looks up at me and he says, I need you to do me a favor. I said, yes, sir. He said, moving forward, when I ask you, how was it? I need you to tell me one thing that you learned and nothing else. Taken back a bit, I said, okay, a little nervous. This is a mentor of mine, guy I really respect. And when someone like that talks to you a certain way, you feel like you did something wrong. So I finished that. I said, okay. The next week I go into the meeting and I come back and he says, how was it? And I went to complain and I said, the one thing that I learned was, and I told him. And every week I kept doing that. And believe it or not, by about the fifth week, my mindset changed completely. And I was constantly ready to excited to tell him about the one thing that I learned, the one thing that I didn't know how to do, the one thing that I was taught, the different perspective that I was given. And all this happened because I had somebody in my life to help change my perspective and my mindset. Because if someone didn't do that for me, I'd have walked into that meeting every time not willing to listen, not willing to engage. And here's what hit me even more as I went through life. I was very excited to be in that room when that initial person was there. And when I went in there, they could feel my excitement. But that same energy, I took away from the next person that came in to take it over. And so I didn't give them the best chance to be the best versions of themselves because of my attitude and what I thought John Haddad should be getting. I share that story with all of you because how often are you in a situation to where your mind is so clouded because you're so frustrated and angry that you can't even sit down and take a minute to learn? Your brain isn't clear. You're fogged up and you can't even sit down and learn one thing from the other person at the opposite end of the table because of your ego. Because that's all it was for me, was my ego. So how many things have you missed? How many conversations with agents have you missed? Financial advisors, other loan officers, your family, your colleagues, your friends. Because your ego, I'm not learning enough. How do you know? Listen. Just because the first couple words out of somebody's mouth aren't what you like, take a step back and listen. And that method, that framework, that difference in mindset has helped me to this day. And so when people tell me, John, why do you take all these meetings? I take them because I know I'm going to learn one thing. This is one of my philosophies in life that I want to share with you. You know, loving books is subjective. We all love different kinds of books. What's exciting for me might be boring for you. But here's the one thing I will tell you. Every book I've ever read, no matter how exciting or boring, you can't look me dead in my eye and say you didn't learn one thing, even if the book was the most boring thing you ever read. So, are you the type of person that's willing to learn, even if only one chapter excites you? Or are you the type of human being that if you don't like something, your ego gets in the way and says, no thanks, you can't teach me nothing? That is my story for the week. Listen carefully, use your ears, and just be prepared to take action when the time is right. Take care.
Love that. Love that. And what my favorite part of that was how your mentor gave you direction.
Mm-hmm.
So you were coming with non-answers, just saying it was okay. It was okay. But then he gave you a clear directive of I want this. I want one thing you learned. And then that gave you the confidence to, if you knew that you had put together that one thing that you had learned, you could go into that meeting and then have that answer and have
Yes,
the
sir.
answer that he was looking for. So love that.
Thanks, Tommy.
Cool. Of course. Well, if thanks for tuning into this episode of the Broker Power Up podcast. If you found today's tips helpful, do us a favor. Hit the like button to let us know you enjoyed it, which helps even more people see this content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring the bell to get notified every time we upload new content. There's going to be a bunch more coming. Get excited. We have Aim to Serve coming up, which is super exciting. Make sure you hit notify on all of those videos because they are going to be a blast. And then remember to lead by example, to lift each other up, to grow together, and most importantly, close more loans. Until next time, keep powering up.